Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. Hey, y'all, it's your man, Lloyd Spence, and find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's Wimbledon Finals, sorry, Serena, Major League Baseball, and the latest fighting news, and even next season's early NFL futures, all at BetOnline. Here's what you got to do. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to get your bonus and get into the action. It's BetOnline.ag. It's BetOnline. When the game starts, tell them, yeah, boy. The noise music.
Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Can I make you groove now? Yes, I can. So you can get this groove in a bag of a can. But to make it rhyme and groove and the holes in your hand. Popcorn World. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. 250 flavors gonna make you smile. I said popcorn make you smile. Ah. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. Popcorn World. It's a popcorn world. It's a popcorn world.
You're now listening to BLEAV in the ACC with Heisman Trophy winner and Florida State legend, Mr. Charlie Ward, Wave 3 TV, and Fern Creek Hall of Famer Kendrick Haskins, and Mr. Talking Noise himself, and of course Mama Noise's man, Lloyd Spence. And now, it's time for BLEAV in the ACC.
You guys keep stacking up accolades, so I have to keep changing. I'm going to have to change the intro again. Like, you're no longer just like a regular dude anymore who just is a Hall of Famer in Fern Creek. Now you're like Sportscaster of the Year or something.
I'm just a regular dude.
Whatever. You are a superstar and you know it. And I got the pictures to prove it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Charlie Ward over there, our Heisman Trophy winner and a Hall of Famer in his own right. That is Kendrick Haskins.
And state champion.
And a state championship coach, right? And then that is our newly crowned Sportscaster of the Year, Mr. Kendrick Haskins, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are thrilled beyond measure. Look at this guy. Look how good he looks, man. I'm telling you.
New pictures.
Well, listen, Charlie, we're gonna have some fun because you're gonna have probably more fun than anybody because I have Ryan. We're coming in,
And that was a humble flex.
Kendrick might as well get ready because this is a full-on right. You're gonna have a really good time here today, Charlie. I'm just telling you right now. Like I said, we got pictures to prove it. This is our humble flex episode.
Yes.
It's almost like I'm flexing in that picture.
It's like you're flexing in the picture.
Exactly.
Hey, that's just the pose they told me to do. I'm just doing as told.
Well, listen, you did it, and you did other things while you were there as well. So
It's okay to be great.
it's okay to be great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's okay. So we got all the pictures. So we're gonna share them with the people, and you're gonna walk us through this experience. So let's talk about it, man. First of all, they came in hot. The Sportscaster of the Year, as chosen by his peers, as the thing says right there.
So who are the peers?
Right, who are the peers? There you go. Let's start with that.
And they have a board, and they have representatives in each state, and so the board members for the state of Kentucky. They voted. I tied with Fred Cowgill, who's the sports anchor at CBS here in Louisville, who I also interned under. So I call him my TV dad. So
wow,
being able to share that experience with him was fantastic.
wow,
Awesome.
So he was thrilled to see his son there and share the stage with his boy, as they say. Well, boy might be a little stretch, but there you go. But there was some other stuff going on. So let's come in hot. Let's come in hot real quick and see some of the stuff that was going on. So what is this? What is this picture here? What is going on in this one?
Okay, so Ernie Johnson and Scott Van Pelt that you see there on the screen left, they were the national sports broadcasters of the year.
Okay.
Curry Kirkpatrick, Jackie McMullen, they went into the Hall of Fame. Then the pretty short girl right there, that is Stuart Scott's oldest daughter.
I was gonna say it looks like
Yeah, and she's fantastic. She's awesome. I was able to hang out with her a little bit. And she represented Stuart Scott going into the Hall of Fame.
Wow.
And then that's Jeff Passan from ESPN. He went in for the National Sports Writer of the Year.
Okay.
I went up to him later. His speech was hilarious. I told him, I was like, your speech was great, but I was just upset about one thing. And he was like, what? I said, I'm an avid Levitard listener, and you didn't do your Elmo impersonation. Because he would go on there giving baseball information in his Elmo voice.
Oh, my goodness.
Then the gentleman with the tuxedo, that's Dave Gorin. He is the president of the National Sports Media Association. He's the organizer for the whole event.
Awesome.
And so they gave him all. Of course, they gave him all Louisville Sluggers. And so can't get away from Louisville,
even though it wasn't in Louisville, right?
No.
I got to ask you about Stuart Scott's daughter, because she is. I mean, while I'm sure she is incredibly humbled every time someone honors her dad, who is maybe one of the most iconic broadcasters in the history of this industry. He's probably the reason why most young black men are getting in this industry to this day, right? I know he is for me. But it's also got to be really tough. What was the experience like meeting her?
And so that's Taylor, and the other sister is Sydney. She was here too. She was just feeling a little under the weather by the time the banquet got there, but she was nice. Both beautiful, intelligent women. Taylor gave a magnificent speech. Yeah. When I first ran into them on what night was that? That was been Sunday night, because they had an after party for. Because I mean there was events every night since Saturday night, and there was an after party. So we was there, and I just went up and told her, I was like, "Look, your dad is the reason why I'm in this business." And I was like, he was so influential. I was like, it's because of him I feel comfortable saying some of the crazy stuff I say on the news. And I was like, that's all because of him. I mean, he was a trailblazer. He took all the rocks and all the things that he got thrown at him. Scott Van Pelt talked about that in his speech. And she was like, it never gets old hearing that. And she's like, I love hearing these stories. And it's like, she was awesome. His wife was there, and I had to talk to them for a long time. His wife was like, going to the Kentucky Derby is a bucket list event for me. And Taylor's like, well, we gotta go. And so they were awesome. They were so fun and just so interesting to talk to, especially hearing about like some of the nights he would come home, and his wife was saying he would just come home and just sit in front of the TV and just stare at the TV and wouldn't even turn it on because of all the BS he had to go through in his way. But because he did that, I'm able to be on TV today. So it's love and respect to Stuart Scott.
Listen, we will forever be indebted to Stuart Scott for paving the way, not just in sports media, but really in media, period. Like he was so different than any and everything you'd ever seen before. And Charlie, did you ever get a chance to meet Stuart and talk to him or anything?
I think so. Yes, I have. I'm trying to remember when, but
I would imagine you probably did, because you guys were kind of ascending around the same time.
Around the same time.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I was ascending. I was just there.
No.
There you go.
No. Both of you were trailblazing right around the same time. You were probably
It's like you just now told me, Charlie, it's okay to be great.
It's okay to be great. It's okay to be great.
Like I said, I remember, him, and it might have been at one of the. I know this is true, for sure.
Yeah,
but it was, I think, at the ESPYs.
Okay. No. He doesn't get one today. This is all you. Don't even try it, buddy. Don't even try it. This is all Kendrick Haskins. Continue, Charlie.
So I know I met him there.
Okay.
This is when I was in college. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I'm sure I've met him over the course of my time in the NBA, because I think he came to a couple basketball games or something in New York.
I still remember the first time I saw him. I was sitting in my dorm room, and I'd been watching SportsCenter for a few years that it had been on, and I'm watching it was a night show, right? And I want to say it was him and Rich Eisen. And I heard this black dude go, booyah. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, hold on. What's happening right now? And he's going booyah and cooler than the other side of the pillow. And I'm like, oh, you cool. Like you it kind of became must-see TV. Yeah. For me anyway. I didn't even know you could play by those rules. Because to be honest with you, if I could be very candid here, I never saw sports broadcasting as a black thing. Other than the only way I felt like you could get in is if you were to assimilate to like a Bryant Gumbel type thing, and I think the other black dude that was real popular was Fred
Hickman.
Yes, Fred Hickman. Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought you had to do kind of that in order to fit in. When he started doing that, because if you think about it, he kind of paved the way for a lot of other stuff. Like, I think, this is my opinion, you don't get Best Damn Sports Show without Stuart Scott. You don't get some of the other alliterations that come after that. You don't get the expansion of authentic sports talk radio without his ability to just say you can be yourself. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, everybody was like, that sounds like a great concept. Let's just be ourselves. And it just spread like wildfire.
So I have this question.
Yeah.
Since we are talking about, trailblazers and those types of things, what's the difference between Stuart Scott and Chris Berman?
Great question. That is a great question. I would say besides the obvious.
Besides the obvious.
Right, besides the obvious. I would say they both did it their way. And maybe if Stuart were here, he might say, I learned from Chris. Because there's some Chris in Stuart.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to know, if we talk to Chris Berman, like if he got the same flag.
Oh, I'm sure.
No
question.
I
would love to have that. Yeah. Go ahead.
He probably got some. That's what I was going to say was the difference. It's like I'm sure he got some flack, but I guarantee you it wasn't to the degree that Stuart Scott got it.
And see, I would actually push back on that. I would say it's probably taking out the racial component. I would say it's probably similar because he was so different. Like he was saying stuff he could back. He could, you know what I mean? He was a little over the top for the time. Because think about it, guys were pretty cookie cutter.
Right, yeah.
I mean, you really couldn't distinguish guys. Like they were Howard Cosell more than they were anything. They were Howard Cosell. They were, they were real, and he was just this wild man on ESPN giving you sports highlights. I don't know. That'd be a great question to ask Chris Berman. You should make that happen for us, Charlie. Let's get Chris on the show and just throwing it out there.
You think I got that kind of pull?
I do. I have all the faith in the world in you, my brother.
That's Sportscaster of the Year.
One of you should be able to make that happen.
He's on the picture. I think he won it.
Yeah.
He's won it before. I can't remember when he won it, but he's won it.
That-
But he wasn't here this weekend.
That's who should be trying to get us Chris Berman, Sportscaster of the Year.
One of you should make that. Yeah, one of you should make that happen.
With Ernie Johnson and Scott.
I got West
Scott
Durham
Van
coming
Pelt.
on. How about that?
That Durham is fine. West Durham is fine, but I fully expect our invitations to these shows forthcoming. Let's go to the next picture. First of all, the level of jealousy I have when I saw this picture, I can't even begin to explain to you because this is like my childhood crush. And I was like, oh my God.
Everyone's childhood crush. Right. That age range.
So right off the top, we got to give you the book.
And that was a humble flex.
Man, I was like, wow. I don't have to see another picture. I'm good.
Hey, I'll take that flex.
and she's still as beautiful today as she's always been.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, this is the lovely Jane Kennedy Overton. I got to be respectful. Jane Kennedy Overton.
She was so inspirational. She also got in. She got, I think, the Legacy Award or something. All these awards, it was so many awards. I get them all mixed up. So excuse me if I got your award wrong. But she was fantastic, talking about her years at CBS, talking about stuff she had to go through. She didn't go too much in depth about her departure from CBS. I mean, you can read up on it. It wasn't very
wasn't the best.
Right. And it wasn't a good look for CBS. But she was great. She's just now getting into social media, and so her daughter was there. And I actually talked to her daughter for a long time, and she's saying that it's so funny because mom's trying to learn, and it's just the older generation trying to learn this newfangled technology. But she's just talking about how she was, like Charlie said, she was just herself, and she walked into a tryout. She gave this how she got the job at CBS, because she'd been acting and dancing for years before that, and had traveled the world as a dancer and as a singer. And she was saying that she tried out. She knew she wanted to do it because she loved sports. She grew up in Cleveland. She had already had a connection with Jim Brown, and so what she had to do, they had her and a bunch of other women in there. Of course, they're all blonde and blue for the most part. And they had to interview somebody on set, and as part for the tryout, but they didn't know who they were going to interview until like shortly before. So they had 3 different guys they were interviewing, and they had the girls split up to those 3 guys. And so when the guys came in, all the girls was just like whoosh, trying to get all this information out of them. And she's like, I just sat back. She's like, because she knew which one it was. And she's like, once the room kind of cleared and the dust kind of settled, she just like, you play blackgammon? And the guy was like, yeah. She's like, you want to play blackgammon? So like they play backgammon and got to know each other on doing that. And like, so by the time they went to do the interview, she said they was like old friends at that point. So the interview was just as smooth as you can imagine. And Brent Musburger was like, this is who we're hiring, right then and there. And so that's how she got the job. And, Brent Musburger was great to her. She's gone on his podcast since in the last few years. She talked about how surreal it was to be on set with Brent Musburger again and how much she loves him. And she's talking about the reason why Jimmy the Greek was on the show, because he wasn't on the set before she got there. But if they had left it alone, it'd have been 2 African Americans with her and Irv Cross and Brent Musburger. The 70s, they had to balance it out. So they brought Jimmy the Greek into the studios. I mean, that's the type of stupid stuff that we've had to go through in broadcasting, and it's still not 100% because you still see stuff similar to that today. That's what makes Inside the NBA stand out so much, is because it is normally 3 black guys and Ernie.
Right.
So that's been
arguably 4 black guys, if you want to. It's what's really fascinating about her is that she was able, because people don't. A lot of times when you think of Jane Kennedy, a lot of people don't connect her back to sports. Like you have to really know her to know that she was a sideline reporter and she was doing all this different stuff or whatever. But what really fascinated me about her is that she broke that barrier. And I mean, that was not easy at the time that she broke that barrier. That was really significant. I remember seeing her on the sideline and thinking how natural it looked. And I don't know, because I was so young, if I was aware of how iconic the moment was. But as I got older, I realized, man, that was kind of a big deal. Like she probably cracked the door for Robin Roberts and
she cracked the door for Stuart Scott. And
Stuart Scott, right. Yeah.
And it's not just women. She cracked the door for everybody of color.
Yeah.
And so she's, like she said, she's so inspirational. Then she told the story. It was a playoff game between Tampa Bay and Philadelphia back when Doug Williams was with the Bucks.
Okay.
And she said she was the only one on the set to pick the Bucks. Everybody was picking the Eagles, and the Bucks ended up winning. And she said the reason why she picked the Bucks is because she had most of the team over the night before and cooked everybody dinner. And so since she had hung out with them, and they got a bunch of people back off injuries too, but she said she had them over to eat. And that's why she picked them, and she ended up being the only one that got the pick right.
Like, they'll be ready. No one can lose after eating my greens. There you go. That's pretty impressive, man. All right, listen, this is the one. First of all, why'd they ask you to pose like this? Is that just a thing?
They just told me to hold the trophy up. So actually, that's the pic. The actual picture looks better than that. I think I've seen other people's picture from that, because that was a professional photographer. That's just Fred taking that picture.
That's Fred,
the picture. So yeah, Fred Calgill took that picture.
So you go on stage, they give you this thing. Do you give a speech, or do you just walk across the stage and give the thing?
So they introduce you, and they, you submit like a short little bio for them to read while you're going up there. And of course, I mentioned the show. You got to plug the show at all times. And so I forget the gentleman's name who read the bio, but he was fantastic. I mean, great voice. I talked to him afterwards. He was great. And then Ernie Johnson actually hands you your trophy. So I go up there and I'm just, because Ernie, it was almost just like that Key and Peele thing when dude was just shaking the white people's hand and giving the black people hugs and stuff. That's what Ernie did to me, I was just watching him. He was just shaking people's hand, and I came up there and he brought me in. I was like,
get in here.
It's like the draft. It's like the draft, baby.
Yeah.
Did he whisper anything to you? Did he whisper anything to you like, you the man asking?
He's like, congratulations. I was like, thank you so much. I was like, it's good to see you again, because I told you I did that story with him in Dallas. And I reminded him of that earlier in the day, and he had a good laugh about it. So I was like, great to see you again. Thank you. And, he got his arm around me and everything. So you take your picture. We took that picture on stage. Then I walk off. Then they take you to another room. And that's where that picture was taken.
Okay. Well, for, definitely for that Ernie Johnson thing.
And that was a humble flex.
Can you tell there's a theme developing? I don't know if you can tell there's a theme that's developing.
It's the happiest I've ever seen Charlie.
Yes.
I knew Charlie was going to be thrilled at this show for sure. So, all right. So then you get out and you meet this guy. And it's like Ball Brothers Unite. Like we in here together.
I look like his mini-me.
A little bit. What was that moment like?
It was funny because, throughout the whole ceremony, Charles was just cutting up the whole time, because he was up there to present Curry Kirkpatrick, not Ernie, which was weird.
Okay.
But Curry Kirkpatrick was making fun of Charles all throughout his speech, and Charles was standing on the stage, and he's like, I'm here, right? he's like, I'm right here.
Right.
And then like it's at different times other people would reference him in their speeches, and Charles would be in his seat, and Charles would like comment from his seat and say stuff. And then Dave Gorin, the was it him or Wes Durham? Was one of them was saying that, you know, imagine being in Winston-Salem Target today and seeing Charles Barkley in there because he was buying luggage.
Oh,
and Barkley yells from the crowd, "That's because y'all broke my bleep." So, but he was great. So afterwards, you know, everybody wants to take their picture with Charles, and
right.
I was kind of waiting, and then I got tired of waiting. So then I'm walking out, and he's walking out, and I just walked up to him and was like, "Yo, can I take a picture with you now or not?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course." And so we took our picture. And then we actually walked with them across the street. So the ceremony was in the convention center here there in Winston-Salem, and then our hotel was basically across the street, and that's where the after party was for that. Walked across, and like I don't know where these people came from. But like it was just random people just walking up off the street, coming up wanting to take pictures with Charles Barkley. I'm like, where are these? Because at this point, it's not like it's 5 o'clock in the afternoon. It was like almost 11 o'clock, and it may have been 11 o'clock at night. We're walking across the street, and these people with their families and everything walking up wanting to have pictures with. And Charles stops, talks to everybody.
Wow.
We get to the after party thing, and Charles is totally holding court. Of course. Everybody's around him. Charles was just cutting up, loving every moment of it. That's the thing about him. You can tell he legitimately loves it. And so, yeah, he was just as gracious to everybody. Everybody that was there, all the celebrities, you know, the heavy hitters in the business, they were just as approachable and just as nice to talk to as you would imagine. And so, yeah, they were great. It was great to see them in their especially seeing Charles in his element. It was fantastic.
Charlie Ward, do you remember him being as gracious as Kendrick is alluding to right now? Certainly not on the basketball court, he probably wasn't.
He was the one that didn't want to be a role model.
Right. Isn't that ironic?
Yeah.
Right, because he totally is the model for how celebrities should act.
But I mean, that's most times that's the way some people are. And then sometimes it's not even the person, because if you are in a space where you're moving to another destination or you're moving somewhere and you don't have time to stop and take a picture, or you need to get somewhere, some people may take it for, you know, you're not approachable, and you know, at that moment, and that may not be the case, and so I just think you know, most of what you would call celebrities are approachable in a lot of ways, but if it's in the wrong setting, they may not be approachable, just because you wouldn't have time to sit and talk to all the people that may be there or want to take pictures or talk, because you need to go somewhere else.
And he did that. He did that in the after the thing, because he got tired of standing there taking pictures, and he's like, "Look, I'm going to the bar. I said, y'all come over there and we can take pictures at the bar."
I'll be at the bar.
But he says it in his Charles way, because there is a way to do that stuff, you know, and still be gracious and still come off as you know, like, thanks but no thanks. And I think he does a great job of that. Surprisingly, DeMarcus Cousins does that well.
Oh, okay.
The time I've seen him do it, when I went up to Springfield for when Calipari went to the Hall of Fame, you know, all of his former players came up there, and you know, Cuz didn't want to do any interviews, and so he said it, and he said it in his DeMarcus way,
right?
But it was funny, and it was fun, and you were fine with it. And unlike others, I'm not going to name any names, but they weren't so gracious when they turned everybody down. So,
I can only imagine. Yeah,
but DeMarcus and Charles have that big old goofy country boy vibe about him. And so
I would. It's ironic that we're having this dialogue because Charles. There's a article that's floating around the internet right now where Charles, I guess, some girl was maybe at this event and she was trying to get him to do. I guess by this time Charles was good and settled in at the bar. And, he said, I want to do a TikTok. And the girl was like, okay, I'll help you do a TikTok. And the whole video is her and him trying to figure out how to do a TikTok. And it's funny because they never figure out exactly how to do the TikTok, and they're doing the TikTok. So it's just a hilarious video. But you can tell Charles was in a really good place at that point. But you know, one of the things too, I think that's interesting about Charles, you mentioned that he's a role model. He's become a role model of how celebrities act, but also Charles is kind of the standard go-to analyst now. Like, he's kind of what every network is looking for. They're all looking for that ex-athlete that can be somewhat controversial. Like, that's like Kendrick Perkins is Charles Barkley. He's not as good, but he's there. He's ESPN's Charles Barkley right now.
Right. They're all trying to find the person that'll say the thing.
Exactly.
And I think TNT is hoping that Draymond turns into that. And
I think he will. He seems to be on the right path.
Yeah, he's on the right path doing that. And so,
he's already on that path.
Right. Right. And so I think that because if you really pay attention, TNT is forward thinking and next generation with Draymond kind of filling the Charles role. I think Shaq's probably going to be around for a while, but you have Candace Parker and D Wade coming along, and of course our buddy Adam Lefkoe.
Right.
Eventually, will probably take over for Ernie because Ernie's getting up there in age too, and so you can see them. But the strides that ESPN has gone through to try to duplicate what they do, and it's like you can't.
Right.
It's totally authentic. It's like Ernie was talking about. He talks about it in the documentary, and he talked about it at the symposium because Ernie gave a speech, his acceptance speech, and he also had an hour symposium earlier that day that I went to.
I would have loved to have been there.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how they do the show, which like he doesn't allow Kenny, Charles, or Shaq to even come to production meetings because he wants everything to be authentic and off the cuff and all that. And he's talking about, y'all remember back in the day, Charlie, you may have still been playing at that point, when after Inside the NBA would be some random movie.
Yeah.
If Charles didn't like it, Charles would say, I don't know, y'all gonna watch that movie. That movie sucks. He would say that on television all the time. And Ernie was talking about how the executives would get mad because Charles would say that. So then word got to Charles, and Charles says the next week or whatever, and Charles was like, I was told not to say if I think this movie sucks or not. So if you want to watch it, it's up to you.
That's Charles in a nutshell right there.
And he was talking about that Tuesday night show because, you know, when the first iteration of the Tuesday night NBA show, it was a players only thing.
And that wasn't good.
Oh, it was terrible. And
it wasn't good. It wasn't good.
And so Shaq was trying to do the highlights.
Right.
And so Shaq came up to Ernie and was like, it's hard to do the highlights when people are talking while you talking. And Ernie said, I looked at him and was like, welcome to my world. Right. Every time I'm trying to give a highlight, then randomly you'll just ask Chuck, who's the best two guard in the league?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, Ernie was by far. He is everything. Everything you see on TV is Ernie. He's just a humble guy.
I take so many notes from him vicariously. And that is one of the biggest notes that I've taken is that I try to prepare in such a way that when I bring it to smart people like you, like Charlie, like the team that we have on Talking Noise, I'm so prepared that I know you guys are going to react well. So I don't want you to over prepare. A lot of times I want you in that moment. I'll openly admit I stole that from Inside the NBA because I think it's a fascinating way to do media, because when you have good people that have strong opinions that are good at what they assess it's easy for them to just be themselves and give you what they're seeing in that moment. And that to me makes for great TV. That's much better than over preparing.
The one thing I wanted to ask Ernie that I'm upset with myself that I didn't get to ask him is because he said the whole concept for that actually happened organically when Charles first joined the set.
Right.
They were ready to come out for halftime, and he asked Kenny, he's like, "What are you going to say here?" And Kenny's like, "You'll find out." And that's kind of was like the springboard, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask Ernie, how did the higher ups react to that? Because you know how it is, especially in this ridiculous business I work in. People want to have their say. They don't want to relinquish control. How hard was it to get them to relinquish control to them to let them run the show? And I'm sure it was some.
I'm sure it was an unnerving experience. And the reason why I know that it's unnerving because ESPN is struggling with it to this day.
Right,
like they do it to a certain right. They do it to a certain extent, but there's still a level of control that they still try to have because they don't want it to go quote unquote too far, which is probably the reason why a lot of journalists are leaving ESPN because they want that authenticity, man. We want, as consumers, we want that authenticity. I don't want a cookie cutter answer for 5 different shows. You're saying the same thing because you're gonna be those guys will listen. This is where I will agree with Charles. We're probably about to kill the ESPN deal or any semblance that we could have had. But one thing, Charlie, you probably agree with me because you've probably been asked to be on ESPN at some point. But, man, those guys, that's a lot of commentary that they give in a day. Like Kendrick Perkins' day starts with Get Up to First Take to This Is In to Jalen and Jacoby to a podcast to NBA Today. That's one day's work. And it's the same thing over and over and over again.
You might be on PTI.
The PTI. To me, that's too much. That's too much.
They get their money's worth out of their employees.
Oh, man, you earned that check at ESPN. So I think that's a lot of.
I mean, even with our shows, like we want everything Charlie says to be authentic.
Yeah. We want people to see the real Charlie Ward.
Yeah, we want Coach Junior. We don't want Charles Ward.
Okay.
Did they ever ask you to be on ESPN, Charlie? Have they ever asked you just out of curiosity? No. I'm surprised because they love their athletes because that thing in their minds, their athletes give them validation, which I totally understand. Although I'll say this, all the way across the board, they don't have great athletes talking about sports. Now, they've gotten better this last year that some of those guys are. Credit
to Kendrick Perkins to how much better he's gotten on.
I love Kendrick now. When he first started, I was like, oh, my God, he's a train wreck. But now it's gotten really good.
No, I think a lot of the guys on there are getting, I'm gonna say better, but they're doing well. Like Jay Williams is, a guy that I follow, and he talks about the real like stuff that most people won't touch.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and most times it's his opinion and thoughts on things, which, all you ask is for someone to share their opinion and thoughts and be fair. And then, of course, Stephen A is Stephen A. I mean, he's getting paid to do what he does. If you get rid of Stephen A, then, I mean, what else do they have that compares to a Stephen A?
Nothing.
There's like nothing. So that's the reason why he kind of stands out. So I think ESPN is doing what they need to do to keep the right guys around to be able to keep the content, juicy in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, they just use them, which I say use them, but they're high volume rate of being on different shows, I'll say is
high volume.
High. And so
and they've knocked it out of the park with Malika Andrews.
Oh, that was the perfect high.
And to take a chance because she's so young, but she's so good.
And she's authentic. She's so authentic.
And, you've got her. I mean, you can probably have her for another 30, 40 years. She's only like 25 years old.
Yeah.
So as long as she wants to do it, and then they brought her sister along too.
Yeah.
As long as they want to do it, I mean, you really.
Who's her sister?
Her sister's on the show too. Her first name is Stacey.
I forget what her name is.
She's on their NBA show, their daily NBA show.
It might be Aaron.
No, it's not Aaron.
It's something real. It's not
with an M. It starts with they both. Is
it M?
Start
Okay.
with an M. But I mean,
well, all I know is my favorite Malika Andrews moment so far has been, and by the way, she's an Emmy award-winning Malika Andrews.
Right.
But my favorite one was when she had her sister who covers Golden State, Charlie, and she's doing the interview, and she's got her, she's got the microphone up like this, whatever. And right in the middle of the interview, Malika says, "Is that my watch? Are you wearing my watch?"
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
That was fantastic. That's what I already liked her, but when she did that, I was like, "Oh, you're it. You don't even know how big that moment just was. That was huge."
And then her back and forth with Richard Jefferson, because Richard Jefferson is one of my favorite athletes.
Oh, yeah, he's gotten really good. Yeah,
he's so good. Funny. When he's calling a game, he's hilarious.
Fantastic. Richard and Perk have stepped into their lane.
Yeah.
They are very good at this.
Yeah, the players come over during the games and say stuff to Richard Jefferson during the game because he's saying crazy stuff. He's so funny. I love Richard Jefferson. The connection between him and Malika has been fantastic.
Absolutely.
But the thing that a lot of people probably don't. They probably know is you sit back and you watch these guys and ladies do their jobs, but a lot of times that's their personality. Like, in the locker rooms, guys that are on teams, you think about Jeff and Mark and how they connect. This is the way they were, like, if they were just sitting in the room together, during our time. That is just the way they interacted. And it's a lot of times of course, we see the personalities coming out of the people who are coming up with all these different sayings.
Yeah.
And it's just funny to see and very interesting how they commentate the games and what have you. So I enjoy it. I just enjoy it. Even what's my man name? Calls the Pac-12 at night. The crazy man.
Bill Walton.
Bill Walton. A lot of people don't like Bill Walton.
I love Bill.
I love Bill.
Except the game.
I love Bill. It's weird. He's a weirdo, but I love him to death.
My grandmother, when he used to call the games on NBC for the NBA.
Oh, my God.
My grandmother used to hate him. Like Bill Walton. He would say, because he would say crazy stuff.
Exploration and dunking, and I love it all.
Like, what are you talking about, bro?
Bill Walton might be talking about space travel. Talking about dinosaurs.
Listen, real talk. Let's just be honest. I feel as though, I could be wrong. I'm not slandering the man. I just feel like Bill Walton lives his life one high at a time.
It's like you're getting in contact watching him on TV.
It's like some of his musings are like, bro, you got to be on some good stuff. Like, this has got to be some of the best on the market.
His
I
time
just
on
feel like
television.
Bill Walton is just walking the earth, and whenever we get him on TV, it's just because that's where he just happened to stop.
Yeah, for sure. What you say, Charlie?
His time on television is probably a time in between puffs.
You gotta believe that, bro. You gotta believe that. That is so true. All right. We're gonna run through a couple of these really quick.
That is Scott Van Pelt.
This is the great Scott Van Pelt. Shout out to the Ball brothers. They were in full representation.
Well, wasn't a follicle to be found.
He's a lot taller than I thought he was.
I went up to Scott and was like, I steal from you all the time. And he was like, what do you mean? If you look at the background, you see Jackie McMullen and Curry Kirkpatrick back there too.
Yeah, I see him.
I told him I steal from you all the time. He's like, well, I was like, I steal from everybody. I was like, because you all at the pinnacle of the business. Why wouldn't I take bits and pieces from you all and add them to my game?
Right.
And he's like, yeah. He's like, I can appreciate that. I was like, yeah, I take from you. I take from Stewart. I took from Stewart. I take from anybody. I take from my own boss. I mean, because that's one thing. Because there's a lot of college students around here too, internships from like North Carolina and Wake Forest. There's a big contingent from Austin Peay. And like I told him, I was like, you got to humble yourself to be able to learn from somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers. And so you got to humble yourself and learn from somebody else. And somebody else is doing something well, then don't feel bad taking a piece of that and just making it, just putting your spin on it. And that's what I told SVP, and he appreciated that.
And of course, this is the great for us legend, Fred Cowgill. I just believe Fred Cowgill is one of the most genuine guys in this business that I personally have ever met. I remember coming in on everything. Like, I'm super brand new to the Louisville beat. And he comes up to me and introduces himself and says, hey, man, I'm Fred Cowgill. And I said, I know who you are. You don't have to tell me that who you are. I know exactly who you are. But he was so nice and so engaging and stayed that way throughout my time covering Louisville. I'm a huge Fred Cowgill guy. So
you notice I'm rocking the Murray State colors for my award.
I did notice that. I did notice that. And I took it more as a Morehead State thing, but I'll tomato.
Your foolish pride can get you wrong. That's the lovely Kristen.
That is the lovely. There she is. How beaming was she in this moment? I have to ask.
She's very proud of me. You know, she sees the struggles I go through every day with everything, and so yeah, she was extremely proud of me.
Okay, well, I had to give her some shine. So there we go. Now I was curious to know who this young man was.
Go back.
Go back. Okay, I'm sorry.
Who is that?
I should have known this was going.
You know who that is?
Is that our Kristen?
You like you've never seen her when we've been off camera.
Oh.
I knew this was coming. I knew this moment was coming.
Kristen at the show with her boo, her man thing, her future husband, her whatever you want to call her. Just grateful to see her supporting you.
Yes, she's been very supportive. She's supportive every day.
Aww. I'm not even gonna humble flex you on that. I'm gonna move on.
I'll take a humble flex on that.
I mean, I'm gonna give you a general humble flex here at the end, but who's this young man here? I didn't know who this was.
This young man, he's a high school kid. Like I say, there's a lot of young kids here, and he's just somebody. We took a like to each other. We got to talking to each other and whatever. And he's just a really sweet kid. I got to look up his name for you, but he's an awesome kid. He's heading into college, and he was just there and learning about the business and everything. And he's going to be a superstar. He plays football too. He's going to a small school, but he plays football too. He's just a great young man that I met when I was at the convention.
That is very cool. Look at you giving back in the midst of all this.
That's what I'm gonna give him.
Now I had to sneak this one in. This had nothing to do with the event, but Charlie, look at this guy. Look at what he's doing. Look who now that he's Sportscaster of the Year. Now he just walks around in a perpetual state of this.
And that was a humble flex.
You see what I'm saying? He's just walking around flexing everywhere he can go. Now I'm taking pictures with Geno Atkins now. What is going on with you, man?
For one, this picture is like 9 years old.
It ended up in the batch.
No, it wasn't in the batch. I posted it because it popped up in my memories yesterday.
Exactly. That's how it ended up in the batch.
It was not in the batch.
That's how it ended up in the batch. It came up. It just happened to pop up in the memories.
Well, the funny
day
thing
after
was,
you got your award.
Well, the funny thing was, like, Fred and I were just talking about that the other day, and then it popped up in my memories.
It was hilarious.
They used to have a NASCAR race at Kentucky Speedway. Actually, this is the first year. I think this was the first year or the second year they didn't have one. But anyway, that year, a few of the Bengals came up to the race, and I'm just standing there minding my own business, and Geno Atkins comes up to me, man, I got to take a picture with you. You look just like Coach. And so, so I took the picture together.
That's actually the reason why I put the picture in there, because if the running joke in sports broadcasting in Louisville was that Kendrick Haskins' part-time job was coaching the Cincinnati Bengals, because you had never seen him and
Marvin Lewis
in the same place at the same time. So we all felt like he's probably Marvin Lewis just posing as Kendrick Haskins or vice versa.
But Gino wanted me to come up to practice during camp that year and just dress up in Bengals gear and just stand there on the sideline.
And I guarantee you players would have ran up to you and said, Coach, what do you need me to do on this play?
Yeah, you do look like Marvin Lewis.
He looked like it, man. He looked like him. Well, to say that we're proud of you would be a gross understatement and not capture the intensity of the moment. Bro, you have earned this honor. In my humble opinion, it is long overdue, because you've been dope in the Louisville market in the Kentucky area for a long time. I'm just glad finally you're getting the recognition that you so richly deserve, and I am immensely proud of you, man. That's just awesome, man.
Appreciate it.
Well, I'm looking forward to coming to Louisville at some point and hanging out with the legend. I know you got your dad, your mom, they're legendary, but Kendrick Haskins is also legendary. So one day I'm going to come and get in the Kendrick Haskins element and see how you live.
Yeah, come up for the Florida State game.
When is that? I mean,
I think that's Louisville's home opener. I think it's like the third week of the season, something like that.
I'll have to check my schedule, but if I can make it, I'll try to get up there. May have to get in the cargo department of the plane.
There you go.
to get me a ride up there, sneak up there or something. But I'll try to figure it out.
Appreciate it.
We have to go check out some of those vegan restaurants.
No one mentioned that. No one mentioned that.
I know y'all got some in
right now, and like there's a ton of them. And every time I walk past one of them, I think of Charlie Ward.
Hilarious. Well, listen, we had to do this today to honor our guy, and we appreciate him very, very much. But I do want to yield the floor to Kendrick Haskins as he shares something very, very important for us in this moment. So, Kendrick, take it away.
Yeah. I wanted to give a shout out to my guy Todd Weber. His son Riley Weber is in the 8th grade. Great kid, and he's been dealing with a lot, dealing with bullies, and unfortunately, that's part of life that's not so fun growing up. I mean, I was bullied before when I was younger, around 6 or 7 years old. I had to deal with a bully, and he's struggling with it. I just want to let him know that you can overcome this. You're stronger than that. You've got a big heart. Just try to stay positive. Look at the positive sides. Don't get too down on yourself. Don't worry about why a certain person or certain people don't like you. Just keep yourself grounded, keep faith in God, and believing in your parents. Your parents love you very much, and just try to stay positive, and maybe even try to be positive with your bully as much as you can. It's as hard as it is to think of, but you've got this. You can do this. You can overcome this. You can overcome anything. You're heading into the 9th grade, and it's going to be a great year. And you're going to move on. You'll go through your senior year. By the time you get to your senior year, you're going to be a rock star in the school, And so just try to stay positive and spread love to everybody and to people out there. Just don't bully people. Just try to spread love. We need more love in our area and in this world today, especially as crazy as everything is right now. So try to spread more love and be more understanding and just flat out just be a good person. It doesn't cost anything to be a good person. Just be a good, nice person and love one another.
Awesome. I'm going to echo those sentiments as well. And I'll do it by telling one of my favorite stories. One of my favorite guilty pleasures is watching with my girls the cartoon Recess. And I adore that show. It's an amazing show, but there are also some kind of amazing life lessons in that cartoon. And one in particular was one where the main character, TJ, was trying to get this guy to like him. He was like, man, why won't you like me? Why won't you like me? And the guy was like, I just don't like you. This is what it is. And so TJ went out of his way to try to do all these different things and flowered the guy with gifts and opportunities, this, that, and the other. Ended up getting the guy thrown in detention. The guy was immensely mad at him. And he said, hey, man, do you like me now? I've tried everything I can do. You like me now? He's like, nope, I will never like you. And guess what? TJ said, well, I've learned a valuable lesson. There are just some people out there that we'll never get along. And that's okay. And you got to kind of be okay with that. What's not okay is when that person takes their dislike of you to another level. And when that happens, you have to go and not be afraid to tell the people who need to be told, your parents, your teachers, your counselors, your pastor, whoever will listen to your story. Don't hold it in and be a victim. Take the power back from that moment and go share what you need to share with others and live your life openly and freely and be yourself, man. You don't have to be, subject to this guy's torture. You can be free, and there are ways to get this guy off your back. So do what you have to do that, and realize that, man, as great and dope as you are, Riley, there are just some people that are not going to like that, and that's okay. Doesn't make you a bad person, just makes them not being able to understand who you are. So, Coach Junior, you have any words for Riley that you'd like to share?
Well, actually, kind of, we're having similar deals with our youngest son, in some form of fashion. He's having to deal with a little bit of that where he is. And it's been challenging for him. But as I say and tell people all the time is, and my dad is always saying, whenever you ask him how he's doing, he'll say, I'm here, here. And what that means is, as long as you're here, you have an opportunity to grow, develop, and do necessary things to overcome. And so I just think it's important that we all understand that the process that we go through in life happens each and every day. We never see the outcome until the outcome actually happens. We can kind of forecast it, but going through the process, there are a lot of things that choices and decisions that we made that we didn't like, and some we did, but we learned from them. And so, when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, it's all about learning from your different experiences and growing from those experiences, whether they're positive or negative. And so there will be, as we all know, there will be opponents and enemies, regardless of what you do. You can be the best at what you do, and there will be someone that's going to dislike you for being the best at what you do. That is just life. And so once you figure that part out, that they're going to always be enemies, and you can do all the necessary things, right things. At some point, you just have to walk away with a conscience that you did all that you can do, and feel good about it. And so, I just pray that, he don't go to the extreme and think that that's where everyone thinks about him, when he knows that there are other people who love him and will treat him with respect. And that's with anyone that's being bullied or going through tough times in a relationship. That's not the way it has to be or it should be. And you just be content with, yes, that's just the way, think everyone sees you. And so I just want to encourage all those out there, we've all been through that situation and we'll continue to go through that situation. We just have to make sure that our faith is stronger than the enemy. And we know that God has a perfect plan for our lives. And this is part of the season that he's trying to help shape and mold me as a person to be the best that I can be, long term.
Love it. Love it.
Fantastic. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, that's our pleasure, man. And this is what we're here to do, to make impact. So that's awesome. So listen, we've had a great time. Charlie, should we give him one more for the road? We should probably give him one more for the road, right?
Yeah, this is the most he's
I would think
had.
So.
I know he's relished.
I would think so. I would think he needs one more.
And that was a Humble Flex.
No question about it. Listen, we've had a phenomenal time. I hope you have as well. We'll be back next week to do it all over again. That is I got to go. You're on the opposite side now. I got to go to the opposite side. That's Charlie Ward, the Hall of Famer, state championship coach, state or national championship winning quarterback. That is the Sportscaster of the Year. And the Heisman. Oh, I forget about that. Well, there's a little thing called the Heisman. I forgot about that. And that is the Sportscaster of the Year down there. And we're just tickled pink to know him and call him a friend and a brother. I'm Lloyd Spence. We'll be back next week. You've been listening to Believe in the ACC with Charlie Ward, Lloyd Spence, and Kendrick Haskins. Please like, follow, subscribe, and share from the Noisemakers page on Facebook and on YouTube. And you can also listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, and wherever podcasts can be heard. And join us